This is the story of a very hungry... Oh wait, not that egg. The one to the top right? Yes, that one. That's me, the very hungry bug. For copyright reasons, this is not associated with the very hungry caterpillar. I decided to begin my narrative with a story, similar to the personal, practical knowledge narratives we explored in EU 501. You could think of it as my final PPK. Growing up, some of my earliest role models weren't people I knew personally. They were the teachers I watched on television. Characters like Mr. Feeney, Miss Honey, and Whoopi Goldberg in Sister Act 2 quietly planted the seeds of what I believed great teaching looked like. At the time, I couldn't explain why those characters stayed with me. It wasn't until this program, through reflection, that I realized those childhood memories had been shaping not only my beliefs about teaching, but also the kind of educator I hoped to become. As I reflected on my journey through the Master of Education, I found myself returning to a story I had shared earlier in the program. During my MTOP presentation, I used the very hungry caterpillar as a metaphor for growth and transformation. As I wrote my defining narrative, that same metaphor came to represent my own journey through the program. Looking back, my hungry bug had been growing one experience at a time. Here's a glimpse of what it consumed along the way. Before this program, I reflected on my experiences naturally, but I didn't always have the language or educational theories to make sense of them. Throughout the MED, I learned to connect theory with my own experiences and professional practice, allowing reflection to become more than simply looking back. It became a way of making meaning, refining my practice, and continually growing as an educator. Coming from a healthcare and science background, I was most familiar with quantitative research and measuring outcomes. This program introduced me to the value of qualitative research and lived experiences, while also strengthening my ability to critically analyze, communicate, and share research in meaningful ways. More importantly, it changed the questions I ask, encouraging me to consider whose voices are being heard, whose knowledge is being valued, and whose perspectives might be missing. Throughout the program, I explored topics such as mental health, learner diversity, learner agency, equity, and indigenous ways of knowing. The biggest shift for me was moving from asking, "How do I teach this content?" to asking, "How can I create a learning environment where every student feels seen, supported, and capable of success?" With a full stomach and a head full of new ideas, the hungry bug was ready to build its cocoon. But before it could emerge as a butterfly, there was one final lesson it needed to learn. My understanding of what it means to be an educator has changed. It's about much more than sharing knowledge. It's about empowering learners to think critically, value different perspectives, and recognize their own potential to make meaningful contributions within their professions and communities. It means inspiring learners to move beyond awareness and toward action to become not just allies, but accomplices. That's the responsibility I hope to carry throughout my career. And so, my hungry bug became a butterfly. This journey was never about reaching a destination, it was about continually growing. This program transformed the way I think, reflect, research, and connect with others. But my biggest takeaway wasn't simply what I learned, it was who I became because of that learning. As I leave this program, I know my transformation doesn't end here. It's only the beginning. Thank you.